Johnny Talk Sports in with the Week 5 NFL predictions. Last week I went 10-6, which puts me at 41-23 on the season so far after 4 weeks. Now this week for the Week 5 predictions, I want to try something different. I'm not going to go into too much detail on all the games. I'm just going to really discuss what I think are the 5 biggest games of the week, and I'll just give you a winner for the rest of the games that I don't predict. But if you want an explanation to the games that I don't really go into detail on, leave in the comment section and I will respond to you. So the first game that I have this week, as far as the 5 best games of the week, it's Thursday Night Football. And for once, we've got a really exciting matchup for Thursday Night Football, the Rams and the Seahawks. And this, I believe, is going to be a shootout. I mean, we know the Rams defense is really good, but the last couple of weeks when they have played big-time offenses, they have given up quite a bit of yards, quite a bit of points. While the Seahawks, I feel like their defense is coming off of a little bit of confidence last week over San Francisco. Now, they had a poor start to the year, losing back-to-back to the Titans and the Vikings, but I think the Seahawks right now, they are back on track. And in this shootout, I am going to pick the Seahawks to pull off the upset on Thursday Night Football by a score of 45-41. I think there's going to be that many points scored in this game, and it could easily be who has the ball last in this matchup. And I'm going to go with Seattle. The next game of my 5 biggest games of the week, the Browns and the Chargers. And this is a battle of 2 underrated teams. Going into this, the Chargers, they should be 4-0. But they made too many mistakes in that Cowboys game, and you can argue that the officials helped out the Cowboys. And the Browns, their only loss of the year is to the Chiefs. So the Browns are on a 3-game winning streak. And I think this game could come down to which defense rises up to the occasion. Because we've got an exciting battle of young quarterbacks in this matchup with Baker Mayfield and Justin Herbert. I've picked against the Browns in the last 2 weeks, and they have proved me wrong with wins over the Bears and the Vikings. And that Browns defense, I thought it was going to take a few weeks for them to really come together, but it's coming together earlier than what I thought. And I'm going to pick the Browns to win this game. The Chargers defense is for real, but I still think the Chargers defense is really underrated defense. I know that it's legit, and Brandon Staley has that Chargers defense improved from last year by at least 3 miles. But I just think that the Browns, I just think that defense is a little bit better than the Chargers, and I think that is what this game is going to come down to. I'm going to go with Cleveland. Next game, the 49ers and the Cardinals. The Cardinals are the last remaining undefeated team in the National Football League, which is something that I didn't expect to say in preseason. But the Cardinals, they're looking like a legitimate contender not only for the playoffs, but for the Super Bowl. Kyler Murray is playing at an MVP level. In fact, I think at this point in the year, Kyler Murray should be the front runner for MVP. Well, for the 49ers, it is unknown who is going to be at quarterback. Will it be Jimmy Garoppolo, who left the Seattle game last week at halftime with an injury? Or will it be the rookie Trey Lance, who looked really good in that fourth quarter, especially? But it was garbage time, so it's unknown really how Trey Lance is going to perform in an actual starting role. If Trey Lance gets his first start, and if he can pull off the upset, I think Trey Lance should be the permanent starter for San Francisco. And I do anticipate that at some point, the 49ers will make Trey Lance the starter every single week. And I think if he gets the nod this week to start, and if he can pull off the win by knocking off the undefeated Cardinals, make him the starter every single week. I mean, they drafted him 3rd overall, and they moved up, I believe it was 9 spots to get him, and if you don't play him every week, then what was the point of drafting him? But I am going to pick the Cardinals to move to 5-0 and keep their undefeated season. I just feel like that this Cardinals defense, it's an underrated defense, one of the more underrated defenses in the National Football League. And with Kyler Murray playing at an MVP level, it's just hard to pick against the Cardinals at this point of the season. Next, we have the Bills and the Chiefs, Sunday Night Football. The Chiefs have had the Bills number, but this is a different Bills team from Week 6 and in last year's AFC title game. And it's a different Chiefs team as well. The Bills, they are looking like the best defense in the National Football League. Plus, their offense has really been clicking since that Week 1 loss to Pittsburgh. Even though their opponents have been the Dolphins, the football team in Washington, and the Texans, I still think that with your offense clicking in those games, I think it's going to provide confidence going into this game in Arrowhead Sunday night. And it's a different Chiefs team as well because that offensive line is still inexperienced. They're starting a couple rookies on their offensive line. So I think it's going to take them to the second half of the season to really get adjusted. But even though the Chiefs are 2-2 right now and they're last in the AFC West, they're still the favorite in the AFC West in my mind, as we know what Mahomes is capable of. But if the Bills, if they can force Patrick Mahomes into making terrible decisions, making bad throws, then I think they have a chance to pull off this upset. If they can take advantage of their matchups within the D-line and the Chiefs O-line, good chance for an upset. And I actually think that it is going to happen. Because you got to keep in mind, the Chiefs' defense has been lackluster this season. And with the Bills' offense starting to gain confidence, the fact it's starting to click, I think this is going to be an upset on Sunday Night Football. I think the Bills, they pull off the upset in what I think is going to be a shootout, despite the Bills having the best defense in the league right now statistically. I still think the Chiefs, they make this a shootout, but the Bills win at the very end. I think it's going to be about 34-31. And finally, we have Monday Night Football, the Colts and the Ravens. The Colts picked up their first win of the year against the Dolphins last week. Even though it was just the Dolphins, I think that's a confidence booster at this point because the last thing you want is to go 0-4 to start the year and then go on the road to Baltimore to take on Lamar Jackson. And there is NFL history on the line. If the Ravens run for at least 100 yards, they will break the record for most consecutive games when rushing for more than 100 yards. And speaking of rushing yards, Jonathan Taylor had 100-plus rushing yards last week. And he seems back to his normal form that we saw last year towards that second half of the year. And especially towards the end of the year. And I think this game is going to come down to which team dictates the pace, which team is able to dictate the pace better and run the ball better. Because for Carson Wentz, if it comes down to having to lead a 2-minute drive, I don't really like Carson Wentz's chances. In fact, I'm still concerned about Carson Wentz's health at this point, with suffering a broken ankle to both ankles in week 2. I mean, I know he's not at 100%. I don't even know if he's at 80%. And I think the team that runs the ball better in this game is the Ravens. And I think the Ravens, they break that NFL record. And it's the difference in this game, as I think we're going to see a lower scoring game than what is anticipated. I'm going to go for a final score in the neighborhood of 24-17. And those are my picks for the 5 best games of the week. Now I'm just going to quickly go through the rest of my picks here. Starting off with the Jets and the Falcons on Sunday morning. This is the game in London, and honestly, the fact I had to pick somebody to win this game is honestly sad. And I feel like that the Jets and the Falcons facing off in London, I feel like that's really disrespectful to people of London. Why couldn't they have picked some of the better teams? Like, why couldn't they have picked the 49ers or the Cardinals? Like, at least give them better teams. Why couldn't they give them the Bills Chiefs or anything? Why couldn't they give them even the Packers Bengals or even Broncos Steelers? Either way, I'm going to pick Atlanta. I mean, the fact that to pick somebody, I mean, I literally flipped a coin. Packers and Bengals. The Bengals, they have looked good so far this season, but I think they're going to get humbled a little bit this week against the Packers. I like the Packers to win that one. Lions and Vikings, I'm going to go with the Vikings. I think they bounce back from last week. I think we're going to see the Vikings offense be much improved this week because it's the Lions. Broncos and Steelers. I am going to go with the Broncos to pull off the upset here. The Steelers, they have been struggling this season so far, and I think those struggles will continue. And I think the Broncos defense will be able to keep the Broncos in the game from start to finish. And I think the Broncos win a low-scoring game. Dolphins and Buccaneers, the Buccaneers. The Saints and the Washington football team. I am going to pick the Washington football team because I think that it's only a matter of time until we see the Washington defense rise to the occasion. I think it will be this week. I thought it was going to be last week against Atlanta, but they got the win though, so that is confidence moving forward for them. Eagles and Panthers. I'm going with the Panthers on that one. I think they bounced back from their first loss of the year last week to the Cowboys. Titans, Jaguars. Titans, without a doubt, I think they bounced back from losing the Jets last week, while the Jaguars, it appears that Urban Meyer has lost his team already, and we're not even at week 5. Patriots and the Texans. I think the Patriots bounce back after a heartbreaking loss last week to the Buccaneers and Brady's homecoming. Bears and the Raiders. I am going to go with the Raiders in this one, as it's uncertain how long Dave Montgomery is going to be out for the Bears, as Dave Montgomery is one of the Bears' best players and their main source in the backfield. So I'm going to go with the Raiders in this one. I think they bounced back from their loss on Monday night last week. The Giants and the Cowboys. I'm going to go with the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a much better team at home. So those are the rest of my picks. Like, share, and subscribe. Until next time.